patrons, so I'm going to do my DNFs and low rated for the month of May. Now, for a little bit, I didn't have really anything down, and then I started to experiment a little bit toward the end of the month to see if I can find anything else that's interesting that I wanted to check out. Because some stuff, like, I'll have it on my Kindle takeout, you know, like the ones when you borrow, and it only allows you to borrow 20. Well, I definitely always have like 20 Kindle books like on my Kindle, and so sometimes they'll kind of sit there for months, and I'm like, I really need to like offload some of these ones, you know. So I'll go in and like, okay, let's delve into this one and see if I can get into it. And then if I can't, I'll just DNF it and move on and just return it and borrow something else. So that way, you know, it's not a big deal. I didn't like pay for it or anything, you know, even though you pay for the service, but still it's like, if you borrow so many books throughout the month, it almost feels like it's free, you know? So this one here, I do want to check out another book from this author just to see if it's like, if it was just this book. Sometimes I'll try out the author with like at least 2 or 3 books and see if I can get into any of her books. So I had this on my list for a little bit. This was How to Tame a Trickster Fae. It's a Wild Oak Woods series by January Bell. I could not get past like the second page. So I don't know if maybe if I was just not in the mood. I basically put it on my shelf as not in the mood. I might try to go back to this and see if I can get into it. And if I can't, then I'll try another book from the author. Because I definitely want to see if she's any good. Because there are some authors that come across where I'm like, oh, I love their covers. Their covers look interesting. Or the title is really interesting, so I'm like, I want to delve into their books. So this one here, I just wasn't really feeling it, and so I'm like, you know what, let me put it down for now. Maybe I'll pick it up, you know, another time if I feel like it. So I just went and I just returned it, and I figured if I want to borrow it again, I could just always re-borrow it, because I've done that too, where maybe I'm like, I'm not in the mood. I'm like, I don't feel like I'm in the mood for that book right now. But, and I want to go and borrow something else. So I'll go and I'll return a book, and I'm like, well, I'll try to get, you know, borrow that again when I'm more in the mood. So this one here, I'm like, I wasn't really feeling it. There was a lot of characters like starting off, like she had like went into this area with like some of these others like, characters that were being introduced. So I was like, you know what, I'm not really feeling this, and I just put it down. I'm like, I'll pick it up eventually and see if I can either get into that one, or if there's like a different January Bell book that is holding my interest, because, you know, I'm very much a mood reader, so I could be, you know, sometimes this happens to me where like I'll be feeling a book and I'm like, I'm like 50% in, and I'm like, I'm really enjoying it. And all of a sudden it's like something will shift for me, and I'm like, I'm not enjoying this as much. And I don't know if it's like my moods, or if it's just the shift of like maybe the tone in the book, or, you know, sometimes that happens with an author, where an author something will shift, and I'm like, I'm not liking this anymore, you know? So let me see. Well, I already talked about the one that I ended up DNFing, Wilder, which you know, it was on my vlog. This is another one I decided to DNF because I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling the world building in this book. So I'm going to try this author again for another book and see if the other book will do it. I'll see. But I like the cover. So this is Heart's Prisoner, Dark World Mates by Olivia Riley. I wasn't feeling the world building. It had to do with like, there was these people who were on like this different planet. They weren't on Earth. They were like on this different planet. And they had this almost like government secret building that they were testing these different alien species, like this one species that was kind of looks like a fish. The character, the female heroine, was doing like these tests on them of like learning their communication, like that, how to speak and everything, so that way they can, I guess you'd say, assimilate with humans. And so this one that they're working with is, I guess, a really dangerous alien species, and so now she has to like work with this alien species to get it to like assimilate, you know, into the human culture, you know, I guess. And so I think she falls for the creature in this book. So I got about a few pages in, maybe like a chapter in. I wasn't really feeling it. I'm like, I'm not really feeling this world building. So I'm going to go and try this author's, try another book from this author and see if it was just maybe that one book that just wasn't feeling it, or if that's how she writes. Because sometimes if the world building is so complex, I'm not getting it. I'm not understanding it. And my brain will just be like, you know. So yeah, I wasn't really feeling that one. So unfortunately, I was like, you know, I'm gonna DNF it. And I've been trying to like, you know, delve into more alien or monster romances lately, just so it can give me, you know, I like to do, I've been doing, coming up with lists for like tropes or types of books. Like, say, I'm trying to come up with a list of like monster romance books that I like. So that's why I'm trying to like experiment a little bit more and try to find like more authors who do more either paranormal or monster or, you know, urban fantasy type of books and have like those types of relationships. So that one didn't work for me, unfortunately. And one that I actually read, but I ended up giving it a 3 because I felt like it wrapped up way too quickly, was this one here by Lilith Stone. I'm contemplating whether or not I want to delve into her second book in this series. I don't know. But this one is Mail Order Minotaur. And I had trouble, like, you know, there's that whole thing of like not taking things like literally, you know, like getting outside of reality kind of thing. And I had a hard time picturing something else, because when I think of a minotaur, that's the face, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I'm not swooning with that creature, you know, like it looks too much like bestiality. And that's the problem I had with that other book where it was like the Morning Glory milking farm. If I could picture like something else, it would have been a better book. But I picture this bull face and it just, you know, it's hard to swoon, you know, for that. It's creepy. Same thing with like when Ruby Dixon does the cat faces, and I'm just like, I can't really get into it. So I have to like picture something else. I kind of, maybe like more of, there was a TV show that was, years ago, that was Beauty and the Beast. And it had, Linda Hamilton in it and, Ron Perlman. And I used to watch that show. I try to picture him, because I'm like, maybe I could kind of like be okay with his face, because he still kind of looks almost humanoid, you know, in a way. But when you look at this, you're like, I can't really get into it. So this one here, like I said, I ended up giving it a 3. Oh dang, I wrote a review for it. Let me see. I have it in my notes. I have it on my notes app. Yeah, I have it in my notes app. And that's what I usually do when I write my reviews. I put it in my notes app first, and then I'll copy and paste it onto my Goodreads. So this one here, Ivy, the character of Ivy, she's human. She works on a tourist bus when she runs into a minotaur named Bryn, and they end up becoming like fated mates. Now, she decides to, because she's basically competing with this other tour bus company. And so she's like, well, fuck it. We're going to go over to this one area that we really don't want to go over to. It's like obviously more of a slightly kind of like more sketchy, you know, type of like neighborhood that has like these minotaurs and vampires and all these like paranormal creatures. And so she goes over there and she ends up trying to break up this fight with this husband and wife where I guess a succubi was trying to entice the husband for a little action, and the wife was like, you know, getting upset, and so she starts like hitting, you know, starts swinging with like her purse, and Ivy's trying to break up the fight, like, hey, calm down, and Ivy ends up getting smacked in the face with this woman's purse, and it was enough to where it gave her like, you know, obviously a good, you know, you get hit hard enough, it, you know, starts to swell up. And so the Minotaur, Bryn, ends up seeing it, and he tells her, like, come over to my place, you know, right over here in my business, and I'll put some ice on your cheek. And so she's, you know, attracted to him. He's clearly attracted to her. And he's realizing that she's his mate. Like, he's starting to feel like they go through like this mating thing, you know, obviously a rutting season, because you hit a certain season, obviously. Same thing with like cats. Cats go into like heat and all that stuff, and then they got to find a male cat to impregnate them and all that stuff, you know. So it's basically almost like similar to this, where he goes into like this rutting, you know, where he needs to go and mate with a woman and then impregnate her. So it's basically their story, and so they get to know each other and fall in love. I think the problem I had with this book was it was decent, but I felt like they got together way too quickly, and I would have liked it if they would have drawn out the getting to know each other better and falling for each other. I said we needed more build up with the characters. There wasn't enough build up in here for my liking. And I said, and there wasn't really maybe any type of like complication. And if there was, it was resolved very quickly. Like, when it came to like her parents, because her parents were very kind of like bougie and uppity. So he felt like, you know, Bryn felt like that her family wasn't going to accept him because of him being a Minotaur. But then, you know, there was something going on with her family where it was like, oh, that was resolved very quickly. And I was like, no, they were, you know, they accepted her, you know, getting together with the Minotaur. And I was like, that was like too easy. It was just very easy. It wasn't really much of a complication. If there was, it was resolved very quickly. And I was like, I don't know, make it a little bit more difficult, or have them build up their relationship, you know. And I just felt like there wasn't enough build up. And I'm not sure if that was just with this one, or if this is how the author is. Like, she just kind of like very quickly has these couples get together very fast. Like I said, it was decent. I wasn't minding it. I was contemplating giving it a 4, but when I was getting toward the end, I was like, no. And that's why I ended up marking it as a 3, because it was decent, and I am contemplating delving into other books from this author. I'm really intrigued with the one character that was a vampire. There was a vampire in here, and I'm not sure if she's going to write his story, but I think the next one is like, I think the next one in this series, let me look it up, because it's called Motham City Monsters, and I'm like, that sounds way too similar to Gotham City. You know, Motham City, Gotham City. it sounds way too similar, you know? So I was like, you really had to do that, lady? I just thought it was funny. So the next one, I am curious about it. It's called The Gargoyle Grinch. So, you know what? I'm going to put it on my want to read. I might dig the Gargoyle better. The Minotaur was just, it was hard for me to, what's the word? It was hard for me to get out of my reality to really be like, okay. I kept thinking of a bull, you know, and I'm like, you know, it's too much like Morning Glory Milky Bar. And the third one is called The Billionaire Orc. And so I'm not really into orcs either. Orcs are kind of like ugly, and I'm not really into orcs. Like a gargoyle could be good looking, you know, it depends on the type of gargoyle, you know. And then there's Fake Dating the Dragon, the Kraken Games, the Selkie Santa, and then you got the Wolf Professor. I might delve into some more of those books. I might delve into some more. But there was a character in the book, the first book, that was a vampire. And I'm like, I was curious about him. If he would go and get together with like a human. Because he had a lot of baggage. Where I guess humans have like shot at him and tried to hurt him. So he's kind of like hateful toward humans. And I thought, what an interesting concept if he were to fall for a human, you know? And I liked his character. So I was like, man, I want to see what the vampire, you know? And so far she hasn't written that because it's all about these other ones like the Kraken, Dragon, Selkie. You know, I'm just like, okay. So I'm gonna delve into the second one. I don't know when I'll do it, but I'll delve into the second one and see if it's any good or not. But that's what I got so far of like the ones where I'm like, I either had DNF'd it or I wasn't feeling it at the time. So not a lot. I mean, I wasn't having anything for a while, and it wasn't until like the end of this month where I was like, oh wow, I actually got like a few here I could talk about. Otherwise, there wasn't going to be like anything for me to talk about. Because I only talk about these if it's something to where, you know, I didn't really like the book or have a lot to say, you know, when it comes to to a book. But like I said, with this one here, I'm like, it wasn't terrible. But like I said, I felt like it was too fast. The couple got together like way too quickly and fell for each other like fast, you know, and they had like a lot of lust for each other. Like as soon as they saw each other, they had like, you know, they were happy in pants, you know, they were happy in their pants kind of thing. And I'm just like, I don't know, draw it out a little bit, have it where you're attracted to her more than just like her body, you know. So yeah, I really wanted a little bit more from that story. But yeah, that's what I have so far with this here. Is there anything that you've read this month that just really didn't do it for you? Let me know down in the comment section. But yeah, that's it for this video. Here, have yourselves a good day. Take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and I'll see you all on the next video. All right, bye.